My name is Renee Borromeo. I'm an instructor of physical therapy at Penn State Mont Alto. I teach physical therapy courses to a physical therapist assistant cohort, and I'm right now very interested in teaching the PT 384 course, in which I use a digital commons project. Okay, the PT 384 course is a applied kinesiology course. So the students take the knowledge that they've gained in anatomy and through the beginnings of the kinesiology course, things like knowing where muscles are located and how muscles work, they take that knowledge and apply it to human movement. So we look at different types of muscle contractions and different ways the bones and the muscles work in order to produce coordinated human activity. We use the Digital Commons project in a way that really helps us to see motion, to see it very precisely. We take a very small motion. We have one student in a group of maybe 3 or 4 who will actually be the subject usually for the motion. We'll do the activity, say throwing a baseball. We'll stand in front of the camera, the other students will be behind the camera, the student will go through the action of throwing the baseball, and then the student is filmed from several different angles, sometimes close up, sometimes far away, sometimes from the front, maybe from the side or the back, in order that we can see all the joints as they're moving through this motion. So the students then take this video clip that they've made and as a group analyze the activity. They use their knowledge of anatomy and physiology to decide which muscles are moving, which muscles are active in which ways during which parts of the activity. And this takes a lot of group discussion and a lot of interaction with each other and also with myself and the student instructor, the supplemental instructor who's in the class as well. At the end of the project, they're required to turn in to me both the video and a paper. Generally it's in digital format, but they'll, through Angel, give me a written paper where they've written all the analysis that they've discovered through this process. And they also use their video to present to the class and discuss it as a group in front of the class and entertain any questions from the class regarding their analysis of the motion. For this project, the video and paper are very integral. The students, of course, have analyzed this video over and over and over again before they actually write the paper. They have to submit the video to me as well, and they do this actually ahead of time in a rough draft format. And when I get the rough draft, I make extensive comments regarding the content of the paper and their analysis. And many times after this rough draft, I'll sit down with the group and we'll go over it and look at the video together and decide maybe certain muscles that they thought were working weren't working at that time, or maybe they want to make some changes in their perceptions of how the muscles are contracting or working. So they have to turn in the paper and the video, which is really useful because just because someone said they're looking at a baseball throw, unless I see the same picture, the same video that they saw, I might have in my mind an underhand pitch where they're looking at an overhand pitch. And so the analysis could be very different. So having the video is really, really essential to understanding exactly what kind of motion that they are seeing. In fact, it's happened often that I'll read the paper and think, well, that's not right, that can't be. Then look at the video and realize that the person who they were analyzing actually did do a movement in maybe a quirky way that was something I hadn't envisioned in my own mind. So seeing the video really helps to put it together for me as well in grading it. Well, the whole project is graded in terms of content, and I look at the quality of the video, not so much as maybe their video skills, but did they video from several angles? Did they show me the motion that they were interested in? Was I able to see that? Was it clear and precise? And also looking at the paper, and does the paper really reflect what was in the video? I also grade what they do in terms of an oral presentation to the class. And then there's also a component of grading each other within the group. They grade their own group process. The skills that they need would include things like being able to operate the video equipment and the Mac we have on campus, where most of our students really use PCs, so sometimes that's a learning element of itself, being able to use a different type of computer, different format. Most people aren't familiar with iMovie before they use this project. And then they also need to use things like communication between each other during the group process, communication to the class in an oral presentation, and then written communication on a paper that they would hand in to me. The students generally like the project. They're usually surprised at the end how much work went into it, but they will all say that they learned a lot from doing it. They enjoy the hands-on type activities where they actually get to use the equipment and get to interact with each other, and then they enjoy the discussion time. I think sometimes I will actually narrow their projects down. They may choose something like walking across campus, and I'll have to really say that's way too big. They don't believe me that they can write a 5-page paper off stepping up onto one step, but they can. And when you look at the minute detail in the video, you can really see the small motions that go together to make the one overall motion. So I think sometimes they're surprised about the amount of detail we can look at when we look at these small human motions. The outcomes have been very positive. I like the videos the students are handing in to me, and I like the papers that go along with them, and I really like the way I see the students interacting with each other and with myself. This project generates more questions than anything else I do, I think, in any other classes. The students come to me, email me, all kinds of questions all the time, so I know they're thinking. And that's the most important thing. This project really makes them think. Other things I assign them to do, in all honesty, make them memorize. I make them memorize muscles. I make them memorize bones and tiny little spots on bones where muscles are attached. But this really encourages them and almost forces them to use that knowledge in order to apply it to something. This project is a great building block for future classes. This project's done at the end of their first year in a 2-year program. So before this class, they would have had an anatomy class where they do some general anatomy knowledge base. And in this class, they take that anatomy and they apply it to normal human motion. And then when they come back for the second year, we look at a lot of problems with human motion. So not necessarily normal motion, but we look at what happens after someone's had an injury or an illness, and we look a lot at rehabilitating body parts. So a lot of our emphasis is on strengthening muscles or regaining joint motion. And by looking at what's involved in a normal activity, it makes it easier then to think, what would you do if you have a weakness in that area? So hopefully the students learn by doing this project the complexity of human motion, and also get a kind of respect for what you need to do in order to rehabilitate after somebody's had some kind of a physical limitation or problem. I would say the biggest challenge I had was I'm not very computer savvy myself, and that was probably what scared me the most. I knew I would like this. I knew I would like to see the videos that the students were seeing and be able to look at the motions they were analyzing myself and be able to really make some very valid comments to the students about what their content was in the papers. But I was a little nervous about starting on something with all new technology. But actually I had Justin come and help me individually over a spring break, and that got me very comfortable very quickly with the technology. And then because the students have kind of the lifeline to the Digital Commons people at University Park, it's been very easy. I know several students have commented to me that they feel comfortable enough to either drop an email or make a phone call to the Digital Commons Center at University Park, and they always get answers. And in fact, this year, I would say I don't remember one student who actually came to me for any technology type advice. I think it was all handled either through Digital Commons or they were able to handle it themselves. So the only questions I really got this year were content related. So the technology's really not been the problem I thought it was going to be.